Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're an e-commerce seller or an SMB importer, getting your products from a bustling factory floor in China all the way to a warehouse in the USA, well, it can feel a lot like navigating a giant maze blindfolded. But don't worry, because today we're completely demystifying that China to USA supply chain step by step. Let's get right into it.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Are hidden logistics costs secretly eating your e-commerce profits? I want you to really think about that for a second. For so many of us in the SMB and e-commerce world, international supply chains are just a massive headache. You know the drill. You negotiate this amazing price with a manufacturer, you set your retail price, and you're thinking, wow, my margins are looking fantastic. But then the actual shipping process begins, and suddenly, out of nowhere, you're hit with weird fees, massive delays, and unexpected customs charges. Well, this explainer is all about eliminating those nasty surprises. We're going to protect your hard-earned profit margins by breaking down exactly how this process actually works and exactly who is helping you along the way.
To get us there, here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off by meeting the import dream team. Then we'll walk through Step 1, the supplier handoff. Step 2, shipping method selection. Step 3, the all-important customs clearance. And finally, Step 4, the final USA delivery. Think of it like a perfectly executed relay race.
All right, let's dive right into our first big piece of the puzzle, the import dream team.
Listen, if you want to actually scale your e-commerce business, you absolutely cannot get bogged down trying to micromanage global logistics all by yourself. You need a reliable cast of characters in your corner. On one side of the ring, you've got your sourcing agent. Their job is local to China. They're the ones finding the right product, negotiating directly with the factory, and managing that crucial quality control. They're literally your boots on the ground. Now, on the other side, you've got the freight forwarder. The moment those goods are ready, the freight forwarder steps in. They book the cargo space, they handle the mind-bending complexities of customs clearance, and they manage the actual physical delivery across the ocean and right into the US. Teamwork between these two is absolutely required. If they aren't communicating perfectly, the baton gets dropped, your shipment gets delayed, and yep, those hidden costs we talked about start creeping right back in. So the absolute key here is understanding exactly how these two teams execute this chronological workflow together. It's a four-part journey: supplier handoff, shipping selection, customs clearance, and final delivery. Let's break down this relay race.
Which brings us to Step 1, the supplier handoff.
This right here is where the physical journey of your inventory actually begins. It's the very first baton pass. Picture this. The factory just finished manufacturing your goods. Your sourcing agent has completed all their quality inspections and finally gives the green light. It's at this exact critical moment that the sourcing agent executes the handoff to the freight forwarder. The forwarder then swoops in, arranges for a truck to pick up the goods from that factory or warehouse in China, and hauls them over to the port of origin, whether that's Shenzhen, Shanghai, Ningbo, you name it. This handoff has got to be totally seamless to ensure your cargo actually makes it onto its designated vessel on time. No room for error here.
Now we're moving on to Step 2, shipping method selection. This is where we balance speed and budget.
This is arguably the most critical choice you have to make as an importer. On one hand, you have air freight. This is the absolute fastest way to shoot your goods from China over to the USA. We're talking just a few days sometimes. But, as you'd probably guess, it comes with this seriously hefty price tag. It's usually reserved for super high margin, lightweight stuff, or those absolute emergency inventory restocks when you're completely sold out. On the flip side, we have sea freight. Now, sea freight is definitely slower, it'll take several weeks, but man, is it massively more cost-effective. For the vast majority of e-commerce businesses that are actively scaling their operations, sea freight is the absolute backbone of their supply chain. Why? Because it keeps those brutal shipping costs from totally destroying their profit margins.
Now, if you do go the sea freight route, you've got another big decision to make: FCL versus LCL. FCL stands for full container load. This is exactly what it sounds like. You are essentially renting an entire 20-foot or 40-foot steel container just for your own goods. It's faster, it's safer, mostly because nobody else's products are bouncing around in your box. But what if you don't need all that space? Well, that's where LCL comes in, less than container load. This is absolutely brilliant for first-time importers or smaller e-commerce sellers. If you don't have enough product to fill a whole container, your freight forwarder will just consolidate your goods into a shared container alongside shipments from other companies. So say you only have 2 pallets of inventory. You literally only pay for the exact space those 2 pallets take up.
Okay, moving right along to Step 3, customs clearance. Grab your coffee for this one.
Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. Customs is the biggest, scariest hurdle in this entire race. Failing to understand this step can literally lead to your inventory being trapped at the border indefinitely.
Not fun. The golden key to surviving it, it's called the HTS code, or the Harmonized Tariff Schedule. Basically, every single product in the world has a very specific numerical code assigned to it. And this code dictates exactly what percentage you are going to pay in import duties to the US government. If you or your sourcing agent just sort of guess and pick the wrong code, you could end up massively overpaying on taxes, or even worse, you could underpay. And if you underpay and US Customs flags your shipment, you are looking at severe penalties and massive delays. I mean, a single wrong digit could literally wipe out your entire profit margin for the quarter. So yeah, totally accurate HTS lookup. That is a non-negotiable strategy for your customs brokerage.
But here is the good news. You can actually bypass a huge amount of that headache by using DDP, which stands for Delivered Duty Paid. Guys, this is an absolute game changer for SMBs. When you ship under DDP terms, your freight forwarder basically takes on all the responsibility. The whole shebang. They handle the origin costs, the ocean freight, the incredibly complex customs clearance, and get this, they actually pay the import duties on your behalf. The price they quote you up front is the final, out-the-door price to get that product to your warehouse. For sure, it is the single best way to prevent those sneaky hidden costs from eating up your margins, because your total landed cost is fully locked in from day one. So, just to summarize this massive compliance hurdle, we put together a quick first-time importer checklist. This is based directly on expert logistics advice. Number 1, meticulously verify your HTS codes. Double, triple check them. Number 2, truly understand your shipping terms. You always want to push for DDP over something like CIF, or hidden destination charges can just spring up and surprise you. Number 3, calculate your total landed cost before you ever place a factory order. Number 4, ensure your freight forwarder provides rock-solid, secure customs brokerage. And finally, number 5, be aware of freight scams. Honestly, if a shipping quote from a totally unknown forwarder looks way too good to be true, it probably is. Putting in the prep work right here pretty much guarantees a perfectly smooth transition into the US.
Which brings us to the final sprint. Step 4, final USA delivery.
We made it across the ocean. Now it's time to actually get your product off the boat and into the warehouse. The ship finally arrives at a major US port like Los Angeles or New York. If you shipped FCL, that full container, your whole box is hoisted directly onto a truck. Simple. But if you ship LCL, like we talked about earlier, your container first has to go to a deconsolidation warehouse. There, they actually unpack the giant container and carefully sort your specific pallets away from everyone else's. Once everything is sorted, your goods are loaded up onto domestic trucking lines. Finally, they make their way to their ultimate destination, which, let's be real, for a lot of you, is an Amazon FBA fulfillment center. Your forwarder manages this entire domestic leg, ensuring totally strict compliance with Amazon's notoriously specific delivery requirements.
You know, seeing this whole complex process laid out really highlights why AEB Logistics emphasizes being your trusted partner for international shipping and supply chain success. Because working with an absolute expert who handles everything from live tracking on the ocean to navigating those incredibly complex FBA requirements, it's not just a nice convenience anymore. It is an absolute necessity. To actually win this relay race from China to the USA, you need expert global logistics providers who are definitely not going to drop the baton.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. Is your supply chain built for scale, or is it built to fail? If you're currently struggling with wildly unpredictable landed costs, or you're constantly dealing with missing inventory, it is definitely time to rethink your logistics strategy. Take the concrete steps we outlined today, get your sourcing agent totally aligned with a top-tier freight forwarder, and go secure a better, much more transparent quote for your very next shipment. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep learning, keep optimizing those margins, and I'll catch you next time.